Hi everyone, welcome to my broadcast, and today's topic is about prayer. My name is David Perry. Right, prayer is quite a wide subject. I think I will have 3 or 4 series of teaching about prayer. Prayer is so important for us Christians or children of God to be involved in prayer, because that's the only way we can communicate with God. That's the only way we can fellowship with God. God created man so that he may have fellowship with him. This is where we see in the book of Genesis, when Adam was created, God always came to the garden to fellowship with Adam. In the coolest of the day, God will come have a good fellowship with Adam. But that ceased when Adam had sinned. So when we sin, our relationship with God is broken. So it is important that we remain sinless so that we can come closer to God, so that our relationship will be intact with God. Prayer makes our relationship stronger with God. So every time we pray, we're getting closer and closer to God. And even if we are in need, it's easy for God to know that we are in need, because we are always before him. So when we pray, you're coming to his throne, we're coming to his holy throne, and there is full of mercy and grace, and we talk to God. So prayer is talking directly with God, and God in turn talking with us. It is a way in which we communicate with him. Prayer is a two-way communication, a conversation, or a mutual dialogue between God and men. So we need to pray like every time. Look, 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 17 says, pray without ceasing, or simple, pray always. So we don't need to stop to pray. There is no time which we say, no, now it is the time that we don't need to pray. We've prayed enough. Even if you're an experienced Christian, if you've been worshiping God for so many years, you don't say, I have prayed enough. You pray to God always. You pray to God every time. And there is no particular time that is suitable for prayer. But people tend to pray early in the morning because it's less busy, it's less hectic, so it's easy. There's no disturbances that you can be disturbed, then you can pray to God. Some pray late in the evening, also not to be disturbed. And we need to pray to God. Why do we pray? Or what happens if we don't pray? He who does not pray robs himself of God's help and places himself in a position where God cannot help him. God created us in a way that we can have dominion on everything. But because there is the devil who also is fighting against us, we have got more power than us. So we need God to come in all the time in our issues. So if we don't pray to God, God will not force himself in our situation or in our issues. He will just stand and watch. So we can only invite God to come in our issues by prayer. We can only defeat the devil when we pray. So we consider serving God. As we consider serving God, it will be to no avail unless we pray. Why do we pray? We pray to bring pleasure to God. When God hears our prayer, God is happy that his children are speaking to him. God is happy. He feels that we love him when we come to him to pray. This is why he says, pray always. In the book of Luke 18 verse 1, he says, in a parable, then he spoke a parable to them, that men always ought to pray and not to lose heart. Jesus spoke a parable trying to explain that men always ought to pray without losing heart. Even if your answer doesn't come immediately, you always ought to pray without losing heart. Prayer is very important in a Christian's life. We pray to deepen fellowship with God. Our fellowship goes more deeper when we fellowship with God. When we pray, you are always closer to God when you pray. So if you don't pray, you are further away from God. The further you go away, you move away from God, the easier for the devil to attack you. So when you are close to God, the devil is not able to attack you because he fears the one who is with you, who is God. So when you are far away from God, it's easy for him to attack. Right? We pray because Jesus commanded us to pray. He commanded us to pray, as he said that we ought to pray all the time. And we also pray to defeat the devil. We pray that we may not be led into temptations. There are so many temptations that comes. So we pray to God not to allow temptations to come our way, because you never know. I mean, when you have so much temptations, you might be defeated. So we pray that we may not fall into temptations. And also we pray to express our trust in God. When we're praying, we are saying, God, we trust you with everything. Here is the situation. God, solve it for us. Help us to solve this situation. And again, we pray because Jesus prayed. You know, Jesus was the Son of God, and also he was God himself. To me, I might think there was no need for Jesus to pray because he was God himself. But he was setting an example. While he was here on earth, Jesus Christ was setting an example for us to follow. If Jesus Christ did not pray here on earth, of course he was going to succeed in everything which he was sent to do. But because he was God, 100% man again, 100% God. But he prayed to set an example for us. Right, Mark, or rather the book of Matthew 14, verse 23 says, after he sent them, or he sent the crowds away, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. And when it was evening, he was there alone. He went into the mountain to pray. Mark 6 verse 46 says, after bidding them farewell, he left for the mountain to pray. After bidding them farewell, he left for the mountain to pray. Someone might ask, why in the mountain? Is God only found in the mountain? Jesus Christ chose to go to the mountain to pray because it was a solitary place. Remember, Jesus Christ had so many people following him. Multitudes followed him. Crowds followed him wherever he was, because he was performing so many miracles. So there was no place where you could be alone and pray. You need to be one-on-one with God. You need time alone with God. Corporate prayer is important. We'll speak about it later. But here I'm talking of one-on-one with God. So Jesus Christ used to go to the mountains to pray. After he has done his work, he would go up the mountain to pray. There in the mountain, he was alone, and he was alone with his God. Luke 6 verse 12 says, it was at this time that he went off to the mountain to pray, and he spent the whole night in prayer with God. Can you imagine Jesus Christ spending the whole night in prayer with God, yet you cannot spend an hour, you human being, you cannot spend only 1 hour to pray. But Jesus Christ will spend the whole night, and he was God. He needed much prayer. We need much prayer more than him because he was God, but we are failing to pray for only 1 hour or for 2 hours. But Jesus Christ would spend the whole night praying. We need to redeem ourselves. We need to change our ways. Mark 1 verse 35 says, in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went away to a secluded place and was praying there. Sometimes we would wake up early in the morning at dawn before everyone wakes up again, because there were some people who would want his services during the day. He didn't want to be disturbed. So he would leave early in the morning and go to a secluded place where he would pray there alone without any disturbances. You need that time alone with God. A human being needs time alone with God so that your things, so that everything will flow. Let me read my final verse because of my time. Luke 5 verse 16. But Jesus himself would often slip away into the wilderness and pray. Again, going where there are no people, just to have time to pray to God. We cannot say, if I pray in my house, I will not be heard, because God is everywhere. He is omnipresent. He is omnipresent, meaning he is everywhere. Even if I go up a mountain, I will find him. If I go into my room, I will find him. If I go up a tree, I will find him. If I go underwater, I will find him. I will not. Where can I go from your presence? Where can I run away from your presence? He is everywhere. So we can pray anywhere, in your room, in the bus, at work, everywhere. You are allowed to pray. I'll continue with this lesson to pray on how to pray, and how long should we pray, the words to say, and everything. I will explain in the next coming chapters. For now, it's goodbye. God bless you.